Hung be the heavens with black, yield day to night. Comets importing change of times and states, brandish your crystal tresses in the sky, and with them scourge the bad revolting stars that have consented unto Henry's death. King Henry V, too famous to live long. England ne'er lost a king of so much worth.
What should I say? His deeds exceed all speech. He ne'er lift up his hand but conquer it.
He was a king blessed of the King of Kings. The battles of the Lord of Hosts he fought. The church's prayers made him so prosperous.
The church? Where is it? Had not countrymen prayed, his thread of life had not so soon decayed. None do you like but an effeminate prince, who, like a schoolboy, you may overawe.
Gloucester, whate'er we like, thou art protector and look'st to command the prince and realm.
Name not religion, for thou lovest the flesh, and ne'er throughout the year to church thou goest, except to pray against thy foes.
Cease! Cease these jars and rest your minds in peace. Henry V, thy ghost I invocate. Prosper this realm, keep it from civil broils. Combat with adverse planets in the heavens. A far more glorious star thy soul will make than Julius Caesar or Yes?
My honorable lord's health to you all. Sad tidings bring I to you out of France of loss, of slaughter, and discomfiture. Guillaume, Champagne, Reims, Orléans, Paris, Gisors, Poitiers are all quite lost.
How were they lost? What treachery was used?
No treachery, but want of men and money amongst the soldiers. This is muttered, that here you maintain several factions, and whilst afield you should be dispatched and fought, you are disputing of your generals.
Were our tears wanting to this funeral, these tidings would call forth their flowing tides.
Me they concern. Regent, I am of France. Give me my steeled coat. I'll fight for France. Away with these disgraceful wailing robes. Wounds will I lend to the French instead of eyes to weep their intermissive miseries.
My lords, view these letters, full of bad mischance. France is revolted from the English quite. The Dauphin Charles is crowned king in Reims. The bastard of Orleans with him is joined. Regnier, Duke of Anjou, doth take his part. The Duke of Alençon flieth to his side.
The Dauphin crowned king? All fly to him. Oh, whither shall we fly from this reproach?
We will not fly, but to our enemies' throats. Bedford, if thou be slack, I'll fight it out.
Gloucester, why doubtst thou of my forwardness? An army have I mustered in my thoughts, wherewith already France is overrun.
My gracious lords, to add to your laments wherewith you now bedew King Henry's hearse, I must inform you of a dismal fight betwixt the stout Lord Talbot and the French, wherein the brave Lord Talbot was o'erthrown.
Is Talbot slain? Then I will slay myself for living idly here in pomp and ease, while such a worthy leader wanting aid unto his dastard foeman is betrayed.
Oh no, he lives, but is took prisoner.
His ransom there is none but I shall pay. I'll hale the Dauphin headlong from his throne. His crown shall be the ransom of my friend. 4 of their lords I'll change for 1 of ours. Farewell, my masters, to my task will I. Bonfires in France forthwith I am to make, to keep our great St. George's feast withal. 10,000 soldiers with me will I take, whose bloody deeds shall make all of Europe quake.
So you had need, for Orleans is besieged. The English army has grown weak and faint. The Earl of Salisbury craveth supply and hardly keeps his men from mutiny, since they so few watch such a multitude.
Remember, lords, your oaths to Henry sworn, either to quell the Dauphin utterly, or bring him in obedience to your yoke.
Do remember it, and here take my leave to go about my preparations.
I'll to the tower with all the haste I can to view the artillery and the munition, and then I will proclaim young Henry king.
To Eltham will I, where the young king is, being ordained his special governor, and for his safety there I'll best devise.
Each hath his place and function to attend. I am left out, for me nothing remains. But long I will not be Jack out of office. The king from Eltham I intend to steal, and sit at chiefest stern of public weal.
Mars, his true moving even as in the heavens, so in the earth to this day is not known. Late did he shine upon the English side, now we are victors. Upon us he smiles. What towns of any moment but we have? At pleasure here we lie near Orleans, otherwhiles the famished Englands, like pale ghosts, faintly besiege us 1 hour in a month.
They want their porridge and their fat bull beeves. Either they must be dieted for like mules and have their provender tied to their mouths, or piteous they will look like drowned mice.
Let's raise the siege. Why live we idly here? Talbot is taken, whom we wont to fear. Remaineth none but mad-brained Salisbury, and he may well in fretting spend his gall. Nor men nor money hath he to make war.
Sound alarm, we will rush on them. Now for the honor of the forlorn French, him I forgive my death that killeth me when he sees me go back 1 foot or fly. I saw the like, what men have I? Dogs, cowards, dastards, I dare have fled, but they that left me midst my enemies.
Salisbury is a desperate homicide. He fighteth as one weary of his life. The other lords, like lions wanting food, do rush upon us as their hungry prey.
England all Samsons and Goliaths, it sendeth forth to skirmish 1 to 10. Lean, raw-boned rascals who would e'er suppose they had such courage and audacity.
Leave this town, for they are harebrained slaves, and hunger will enforce them to be more eager.
By my consent, we'll even let them alone.
Be it so.
Where's the Prince Dauphin? I have news for him.
Bastard of Orleans, thrice welcome to us.
Methinks your looks are sad, your cheer appalled. Be not dismayed, for succor is at hand. A holy maid hither with me I bring, which by a vision sent to her from heaven ordained is to raise this tedious siege and drive the English forth the bounds of France. The spirit of deep prophecy she hath. What's past and what's to come she can descry. Speak, shall I call her in?
Oh, call her in. But first, to try her skill, Brenier, stand thou as Dauphin in my place. Question her proudly, let thy looks be stern. By this means shall we sound what skill she hath.
Fair maid, is thou wilt do these wondrous feats?
Brenier, is thou that thinkst to beguile me? Where is the Dauphin? Come from behind. I know thee well, though I've never seen before. Be not amazed, there's nothing hid from me. In private will I talk with thee apart. Stand back, you lords, and give us leave a while. Dauphin, I am by birth a shepherd's daughter, my wit untrained in any kind of art. Heaven and Our Lady gracious hath it pleased to shine on my contemptible estate. Lo, whilst I waited on my tender lambs, and 2 suns' parching heat displayed my cheeks, God's mother deigned to appear to me, and in a vision full of majesty willed me to leave my base vacation and free my country from calamity. Her aid she promised and assured success. In complete glory she revealed herself. Ask me what question thou canst possible, and I will answer unpremeditated. My courage try by combat, if thou darest, and thou shalt find that I exceed my sex. Resolve on this. Thou shalt be fortunate if thou receive me for thy warlike mate.
Thou hast astonished me with thy high terms. Only this proof of thy valor make. In single combat thou shalt buckle with me. And if thou were vanquished, thy words are true. Otherwise I renounce all consent.
I am prepared. Here is my keen-edged sword, decked with 5 flower de luces on each side.
Then come, in God's name, I fear no woman.
And while I live, I'll never fly from a man.
Yeah. Whoa.
Shut your head, thou art an Amazon, and fightest with the sword of Deborah.
My lady helps me, else I were weak.
Whoe'er helps thee, 'tis thou that must help me. Impatiently I burn. With thy desire, my heart and hands thou hast at once subdued. Excellent Pucelle, if thy name be so, let me thy servant and not sovereign be. 'Tis the French Dauphin's doest to thee thus.
I'm glad to hear it, Lord. I must not yield to any rites of love, my profession sacred from above. When I have chased all thy foes from hence, then will I think upon recompense.
Meantime, look gracious on my prostrate foe.
My lord, where are you? What defies you on? Shall we give over Orleans or no?
Why, no, I say, distrustful recreants. Fight till the last gasp, I will be your guard.
What she says I'll confirm, we'll fight it out.
Assigned am I to be the English scourge. This night the siege assuredly will raise. Expect St. Martin's summer, halcyon days, since I have entered into these wars. Now am I like that proud, insulting ship, which Caesar and his fortune bear at once.
Star of Venus fallen down on the earth, how may I reverently worship thee enough?
Leave off delays and let us raise the siege.
Woman, do what thou canst to save our honours. Drive them from Orleans and be immortalized.
Presently we'll try. Come, let's away about it. No prophet will I trust if she prove false.
Ah, who's there that knocks so imperiously?
Lieutenant, is it you whose voice I hear? Open the gates, here's Gloucester that would enter.
Now have patience, noble Duke, I may not open. The Cardinal of Winchester forbids. From him I have express commandment that thou or none of thine shall be let in.
Faint-hearted Woodville prizest him for me? Arrogant Winchester, that haughty prelate, whom Henry, our late sovereign, ne'er could brook. Thou art no friend to God or to the king. Open the gates unto the Lord Protector, or we'll burst them open if that you come not quickly.
How now, ambitious Humphrey? What means this?
Peeled priest, dost thou command me to be shut out?
I do, thou most usurping proditor and not protector of the king or realm.
Stand back, thou manifest conspirator, thou that contrivest murder to our dread lord, thou that givest whores indulgences to sin. I'll canvass thee in thy broad cardinal's hat if thou proceed in this thy insolence.
Nay, stand thou back, I will not budge a foot. This be Damascus, be thou cursed, Cain, to slay thy brother Abel if thou wilt.
I will not slay thee, but I'll drive thee back. Thy scarlet robes as a child's bearing cloth I'll use to carry thee out of this place.
Do what thou darest, I beard thee to thy face.
Am I dared and bearded to my face? Draw, men, for all this privileged place. Under my feet I'll stamp thy cardinal's hat.
Gloucester, thou wilt answer this before the Pope.
The Winchester goose, I cry a rope, a rope. Now beat them hence, out, scarlet hypocrite.
Lords, that you, being supreme magistrates, thus contumeliously should break the peace.
Here, thou knowest little of my wrongs. Here's Beaufort, that regards nor God nor king, hath here distrained the tower to his use.
Here's Gloucester, a foe to citizens that seeks to overthrow religion because he is protector of the realm, and would have armor here out of the tower to crown himself king and suppress the prince.
I will not answer thee with words, but blows.
Not rest for me in this tumultuous strife, but to make open proclamation. Come, officer, as loud as e'er thou canst, cry!
All manner of men assembled here in arms this day against God's peace and the king's, we charge and command you, in his highness' name, to repair to your several dwelling places and not to wear, handle, or use any sword, weapon, or dagger, henceforward, upon pain of death.
Cardinal, I'll be no breaker of the law, but we shall meet and break our minds at large.
Gloucester, we will meet to thy cost, be sure. Thy heart blood I will have for this day's work.
See the coast cleared, and then we will depart. Good God, these nobles should such stomachs bear. I myself fight not once in 40 years.
Sirrah, thou knowst how Orleans is besieged and how the English have the suburbs won. Father, I know, and oft have shown it them. The prince's espials have informed me how the English in the suburbs close entrenched want, through a secret gate of iron bars in yonder tower, to overpower the city. A piece of ordnance I have placed against it.
Talbot, my life, my joy again returned. How art thou handled being prisoner? Or by what means gost thou to be released?
The Duke of Bedford had a prisoner called the brave Lord Ponton de Saintré. For him I was exchanged and ransomed.
Yet tell'st thou not how thou wert entertained?
Oh, with scoffs and scorns and contumelious taunts. In open marketplace produced they me to be a public spectacle to all. Here, said they, is the terror of the French, the scarecrow that affrights our children so.
Well, we will be revenged sufficiently. Now to supper time. Look through this grate and view the Frenchmen how they fortify. Let us look in. The sight will much delight thee.
For aught I see, this city must be famished, or with light skirmishes enfeebled. Whoa! Lord have mercy on us!
Lord have mercy on us, wretched sinners.
What chance is this that suddenly has crossed us? Speak, Salisbury! At least if thou canst speak, how farest thou, mirror of all martial men? One of thy eyes and thy cheek's side struck off? Yet livest thou, Salisbury? Though thy speech doth fail, one eye thou hast, to look to heaven. Look to heaven for grace! Look to heaven for grace! He beckons with his hand and he smiles on me, as who should say, when I am dead and gone, remember to avenge me on the French. Plantagenet, I will. Wretched shall France be only in my name. Bear hence his body. I'll help to bury it. What stir is this? What tumult in the heavens? Whence cometh this alarm and the noise?
My lord, the French have gathered head. The Dauphin with one Joan le Purcell joined. A holy prophetess, new risen up, is come with a great power to raise the siege.
Hear how dying Salisbury doth groan. It irks his heart, he cannot be revenged. Frenchmen, I will be a Salisbury to you. Pucelle or puzzle, dolphin or dogfish, your hearts I will stamp out with my horse's heels and make a quagmire of your mingled brains. Convey me Salisbury unto his tent, and then we'll try what these dastard Frenchmen dare. Where is my strength, my valor, and my force? Where is my strength, my valor, and my force? Our English troops retire, I cannot stay them. A woman clad in armor chaseth them. Oh, here she comes. I'll have a bout with thee. Devil or devil's dam, I'll conjure thee. Blood will I draw on thee. Thou art a witch, and straightway give thy soul up to him thou servest.
Come, 'tis only I that must disgrace thee.
Heavens, can you suffer hell so to prevail? My breast I will burst with straining of my courage, and from my shoulders crack my arms asunder, but I will chastise this high-minded strumpet.
Albert, farewell. Thy hour is not yet come. I must go victual Orleans forthwith. Overtake me if thou canst. I scorn thy courage. Go, cheer up thy hungry, starved men. Help Salisbury make his testament. This day is ours, as many more shall be.
Thoughts are word like to a potter's wheel. I know not where I am, nor what I do. A witch by fear, not force, like Hannibal, drives back our troops and conquers as she lists. So bees with smoke and doves with noisome stench are from their hives and houses driven away. They called us for our fierceness English dogs. Now, like to whelps, we run away. Hark, countrymen! Either renew the fight or tear the lions out of England's coat. Renounce your soil, give sheep in lions' stead. Sheep run not half so treacherous from the wolf as you fly from your own soft, subdued slaves. It will not be. Retire into your trenches. You all consented unto Salisbury's death, for none would strike a stroke in his revenge. Pucelle is entered into Orleans in spite of us or aught that we could do. Oh, would I were to die with Salisbury. A shame whereof will make me hide my head.
Advance our waving colours on the walls. Rescued is Orleans from the English. Thus Joan la Purcell hath performed her word.
Finest creature, Astrea's daughter, how shall I honor thee for this success? France, triumph in thy glorious prophetess. Recovered is the town of Orleans. More blessed hap ne'er did befall our state.
Why ring not out the bells throughout the town? Dauphin, command the citizens make bonfires and feast and banquet in the open streets to celebrate the joy that God hath given us.
All France will be replete with mirth and joy when they shall hear how we played the men.
'Tis Joan, not we, by whom the day is won, for which I will divide my crown with her, and all the priests and friars in my realm shall in procession sing her endless praise. No longer on Saint Denis will we cry, but Joan, La Pucelle, shall be France's saint. Come in and let us banquet royally after this golden day of victory.
Sirs, take your places and be vigilant. If any noise or soldier you perceive near to the walls by some apparent sign, let us have knowledge at the court of guard.
Sergeant, you shall. Thus our poor servitors, when others sleep upon their quiet beds, constrained to watch in darkness, rain, and cold.
Lord Regents and redoubted Burgundy, by whose approach the regions of Artois, Wallon, and Picardy are friends to us, this happy night the Frenchmen are secure, having all day caroused and banqueted. Embrace we then this opportunity as fitting best to quittance their deceit contrived by art and baleful sorcery.
Coward of France! How much he wrongs his fame, despairing of his own arms' fortitude to join with witches and the help of hell.
Traitors have never other company, but what's that Pucelle whom they term so pure?
A maid, they say.
A maid! And be so martial! Oh.
Well, let them practice and converse with spirits. God is our fortress, in whose conquering name let us resolve to scale their flinty bulwarks.
Ascend, brave Talbot. We will follow thee.
No, not altogether. Better far, I guess, that we do make our entrance several ways, that if it chance that one of us do fail, the other yet may rise against their force.
Agreed. I'll to yond corner.
And I to this.
And here will Talbot mount, or make his grave.
Arm! Arm! The enemy doth make assault!
How now, my lords? What? All unready so?
Unready, aye, and glad we escaped so well.
'Twas time our trow to wake and leave our beds, hearing alarums at our chamber doors.
Of all exploits since first I followed arms, ne'er heard I of a warlike enterprise more venturous or desperate than this.
I think this Talbot be a fiend of hell.
If not of hell, the heavens sure favour him.
Oh, here cometh Charles. I marvel how he sped.
Is this thy cunning, thou deceitful dame? Did thou at first to flather us withal, make us partakers of a little gain, that now our loss may be 10 times so much?
Wherefore is Charles impatient with his friend? Improvident soldiers, had your watch been good, this sudden mischief never could have fallen.
Duke of Alençon, this was your default. That being captain of the watch tonight did look no better that weighty charge.
Had all our quarters been as safely kept as that whereof I had the government, we had not been thus shamefully surprised.
Then how, or which way did they first break in?
Questioned, my lord, no further of the case. How or which way, 'tis sure they found some place, but weakly guarded, where the breach was made. And now there rests no other shift but this: gather our soldiers, scattered and dispersed, and lay new platforms to endamage them.
Oh, the day begins to break, and night is fled. Here sound retreat, and cease our hot pursuit.
Bring forth the body of old Salisbury, and here advance it in the marketplace, the middle center of this cursed town. Now have I paid my vow unto his soul. For every drop of blood was drawn from him, there hath at least 5 Frenchmen died tonight. But lords, in all our bloody massacre, I muse we met not with the Dolphin's grace, his new-come champion, the virtuous Joan of Arc, nor any of his false confederates.
'Tis thought, Lord Talbot, when the fight began, roused on the sudden from their drowsy beds, they did amongst the troops of armed men leap o'er the walls, for refuge in the field.
Myself, as far as I could well discern for smoke and dusty vapors of the night, am sure I scared the Dauphin and his trull, when arm in arm they both came swiftly running like to a pair of loving turtle doves that could not live asunder day or night. After that things are set in order here, we'll follow them with all the power we have.
Great lords and gentlemen, what means this silence? Hear no man answer in a case of truth?
Within the temple hall we were too loud. The garden here is more convenient.
Then say at once, if I maintain the truth, or else was wrangling Somerset in the error.
Faith, I have been a truant in the law, and never yet could frame my will to it, and therefore frame the law unto my will.
Judge you, my lord of Warwick, then between us?
Between two hawks, which flies the higher pitch? Between two blades, which bears the better temper? Between two horses, which doth bear him best? I have perhaps some shallow spirit of judgment, but in these nice sharp quillets of the law, good faith, I am no wiser than a daw.
Since you are tongue-tied, and so loath to speak, in dumb significance proclaim your thoughts. Let him that is a true-born gentleman, and stands upon the honour of his birth, if he suppose that I have pleaded truth, from off this briar, pluck a white rose with me.
Let him that is no coward nor no flatterer, but dare maintain the party of the truth, pluck a red rose from off this thorn with me.
I love no colours, and without all colour of base insinuating flattery, I pluck this white rose with Plantagenets.
I pluck this red rose with young Somerset, and say withal, I think he held the right.
Stay, lords and gentlemen, and pluck no more, till you conclude that he upon whose side the fewest roses are cropped from the tree shall yield the other in the right opinion.
Good Master Vernon, it is well objected. If I have fewest, I subscribe in silence.
And I.
Then, for the truth and plainness of the case, I pluck this pale and maiden blossom here, giving my verdict on the white rose side.
Prick not your finger as you pluck it off, lest bleeding you do paint the white rose red, and fall on my side so against your will.
If I, my lord, for my opinion bleed, opinion shall be my surgeon to my hurt, and keep me on the side where still I am.
Now, Somerset, where is your argument?
Here in my scabbard, meditating that shall dye your white rose in a bloody red.
Meantime your cheeks do counterfeit our roses, for pale they look with fear, as witnessing the truth on our side.
No, Plantagenet, 'tis not for fear, but anger, that thy cheeks blush for pure shame to counterfeit our roses, and yet thy tongue will not confess thy error.
Hath not thy rose a canker, Somerset?
Hath not thy rose a thorn, Plantagenet?
Aye, sharp and piercing to maintain his truth, whiles thy consuming canker eats his falsehood.
Well, I'll find friends to wear my bleeding roses that shall maintain what I have said is true, where false Plantagenet dare not be seen.
Now by this maiden blossom in my hand, I scorn thee and thy fashion, peevish boy.
Away, away. We grace the yeoman by conversing with him.
No, by God's will, thou wrongst him, Somerset. His grandfather was Lionel, Duke of Clarence, third son to the 3rd Edward, King of England. Spring crestless yeoman from so deep a root.
Was not thy father Richard, Earl of Cambridge, for treason executed in our late king's days? And by his treason standst thou not attainted.
My father was attached, not attainted, condemned to die for treason, but no traitor. And that I'll prove on better men than Somerset. Look to it well, and say you are well warned.
Ah, thou shalt find us ready for thee still, and know us by these colours for our foes. For these my friends, in spite of thee, shall wear.
And by my soul, this pale and angry rose, as cognizance of my blood-drinking hate, will I forever and my faction wear, until it wither with me to the grave, or flourish to the height of my degree.
Go forward and be choked with thy ambition. And so farewell, until I meet thee next.
Have with thee, Suffolk. Farewell, ambitious York.
How I am braved, and must perforce endure it.
Meantime, in signal of my love to thee, against proud Somerset and William Pole, will I upon thy party wear this rose. And here I prophesy, this brawl today, grown to this faction in the temple garden, shall send between the red rose and the white 1,000 souls to death and deadly night.
Thanks, gentle sir. Come, let us now to dinner. I dare say this quarrel will drink blood another day.
Comest thou with deep premeditated lines, with written pamphlets studiously devised, Humphrey of Gloucester? If thou canst accuse or aught intends to lay into my charge, do it without invention, suddenly, as I with sudden and extemporal speech purpose to answer what thou canst object.
Presumptuous priest, this place commands my patience, or thou shouldst find thou hast dishonored me. Thou art a most pernicious usurer, forward by nature, enemy to peace, lascivious, wanton, more than well beseems a man of thy profession and degree, and for thy treachery, what's more manifest? In that thou laidst a trap to take my life, as well at London Bridge and at the Tower. Besides, I fear me, if thy thoughts were sifted, the king, thy sovereign, is not quite exempt from envious malice of thy swelling heart.
Gloucester, I do defy thee. Lords, vouchsafe to give me hearing what I shall reply. If I were covetous, ambitious, or perverse, as he will have me, how am I so poor? No, my good lords, it is not that offends. It is not that hath incensed the Duke. It is because no one should sway but he. No one but he should be about the king. But he shall know I am as good
as good, thou bastard of my grandfather.
Aye, lordly sir. For what are you, I pray, but one imperious in another's throne?
Am I not protector, saucy priest?
And am I not a prelate of the church? Rome shall remedy this.
Rome thither then.
Uncles of Gloucester and Winchester, the special watchmen of our English wheel, I would prevail, if prayers might prevail, to join your hearts in love and amity. Oh, what a scandal it is to our crown that two such noble peers as ye should jar. Believe me, lords, my tender years can tell civil dissension is a viperous worm that gnaws the bowels of the commonwealth.
Come with the tawny club!
What tumult's this?
Oh, good lords! Virtuous Henry, pity the city of London, pity us! The bishop and the Duke of Gloucester's men, forbidden late to carry any weapon, have filled their pockets full of pebble stones, and are handing themselves in contrary parts, do pelt so fast at one another's pate that many have their giddy brains knocked out. Our windows are broke down in every street, and we, for fear, compelled to shut our shops.
We charge you on allegiance to ourselves to hold your slaughtering hands and keep the peace. Pray, Uncle Gloucester, mitigate this strife. Oh, how this discord doth afflict my soul. Can you, my Lord of Winchester, behold my sighs and tears, and will not once relent? Who should be pitiful if you be not? Or who should study to prefer a peace if holy churchmen take delight in broils?
Yield, my Lord Protector, yield, Winchester. You see what mischief and what murder too has been enacted through your enmity.
He shall submit, or never will I yield.
Compassion on the king commands me to stoop, or I would see this heart out ere the priest should ever get that privilege of me.
Behold, my Lord of Winchester, the Duke hath banished moody, discontented fury. Why look you still so stern and tragical?
Here, Winchester, I offer thee my hand.
Fie, Uncle Beaufort. I have heard you preach that malice was a great and grievous sin, and will not you maintain the thing you teach?
For shame, my Lord of Winchester, relent. What, shall a child instruct you what to do?
Well, Duke of Gloucester, I will yield to thee. Love for thy love, and hand for hand I give.
Aye, but I fear me with a hollow heart. See, my friends, a loving countryman, this token serveth for a flag of truth betwixt ourselves and all our followers. So help me God as I dissemble not.
So help me God as I intended not.
Oh, loving uncle, kind Duke of Gloucester, how joyful am I made by this contract.
Accept this scroll, most gracious sovereign, which in the right of Richard Plantagenet we do exhibit to your majesty.
Well urged, my lord of Warwick, or sweet prince, and if your grace mark every circumstance, you have great reason to do Richard right, especially for those occasions at Eltham Place I told your majesty.
And those occasions, uncle, were of force. Therefore, my loving lords, our pleasure is that Richard be restored to his blood.
Let Richard be restored to his blood. So shall his father's wrongs be recompensed.
As will the rest, so willeth Winchester.
If Richard will be true, not that alone, but all the whole inheritance I give that doth belong unto the house of York, from whence you spring by lineal descent.
Thy humble servant vows obedience and humble service till the point of death.
Stoop then, and set your knee against my foot, and in reguerdon of that duty done, I gird thee with the valiant sword of York. Rise, Richard, like a true Plantagenet, and rise, created princely Duke of York.
And so thrive, Richard, as thy foes may fall. And as my duty springs, so perish they that grudge one thought against your majesty.
Welcome, High Prince, mighty Duke of York.
Perish, base prince, ignoble Duke of York.
Now will it best avail your majesty to cross the seas and to be crowned in France. The presence of a king engenders love amongst the subjects and his loyal friends, as it disanimates his enemies.
When Gloucester says the word, King Henry goes, for friendly counsel cuts off many foes.
Your ships are already in readiness.
Aye. We may march in England or in France, not seeing what is likely to ensue. This late dissension grown betwixt the peers burns under feigned ashes of forged love, and will at last break out into a flame. And now I fear that fatal prophecy, which in the time of Henry named the Fifth, was in the mouth of every sucking babe, that Henry, born at Monmouth, should win all, and Henry, born at Windsor, lose all, which is so plain that Exeter doth wish his days may finish ere that hapless time.
These are the gates of Rouen, through which our policy must make breach. Take heed, be wary how you place your words. Talk like the vulgar sort of market men that come to gather money for their corn. We have entrance, as I hope we shall, and that we find the slothful watched but weak. I'll by a sign give notice to our friends that Charles the Dauphin may encounter them.
Our sacks shall be a mean to sack the city, and we will be lords and rulers over Rouen. Therefore, we will knock.
Qui est là?
Poor market folks that come to sell their corn.
Enter, go in. The market bell is rung.
Now, Rouen, I'll shake thy bulwarks to the ground.
Antony, bless this happy stratagem, and once again we'll sleep secure in Rouen.
Here entered Pucelle, and a Platissant. Now she is there. How will she specify where is the best and safest passage in?
By thrusting out a torch from yonder tower.
Behold, this is the happy wedding torch that joineth Rouen unto her countrymen, but burning faithful to the Talabites.
See, noble Charles, the beacon of our friend, the burning torch in yonder turret stands.
Now shine it like a comet of revenge, a prophet to the fall of all our foes.
Defer no time, delays have dangerous ends. Enter and cry the Dauphin presently, and then do execution to the watch.
Dauphin!
France, thou shalt rue this treason with thy tears, if Talbot but survive thy treachery. Pucelle, that witch, that damned sorceress, hath wrought this hellish mischief unawares, that hardly we escaped the pride of France.
The Dauphin!
Good morrow, gallants. Want ye corn for bread? I think the Duke of Burgundy will fast before he'll buy again at such a rate. 'Twas full of darnel. Do you like the taste?
Scoff on.
Scoff on, vile fiend and shameless courtesan. I trust ere long to choke thee with mine own and make thee curse the harvest of that corn.
What will you do, good greybeard? Break a lance and run a tilt at death within a chair?
Foul fiend of France, and hag of all despite, encompassed with thy lustful paramours. Damsel, I'll have a bout with thee again, or else let Talbot perish with his shame.
Are you so hot, sir? Yet, Pucelle, hold thy peace. If Talbot do but thunder, rain will follow. Godspeed, Parliament! Who shall be the speaker?
Dare you come forth and meet us in the field?
Belike your lordship takes us then for fools, to try if that our own be ours or no.
I speak not to that railing Hecate, but unto thee, Alençon, and the rest. Will you, like soldiers, come and fight it out?
Signor? No.
Signor hang, base muleteers of France. Like peasant footboys do they keep the walls, and dare not take up arms like gentlemen.
Away, captains! Let's get us from these walls. For Talbot means no goodness by his looks. God be with you, my lord. We came but to tell you that we are here.
Thou, Burgundy, by the honor of thy horse, pricked on by public wrong sustained in France, either to get the town again or die. And I, as sure as English Henry lives, so sure I swear to get the town or die.
My vows are equal partner with thy vows.
And now no more ado, great Burgundy. But gather we our forces out of hand and set upon our boasting enemy. Lost and recovered in a day again. This is a double honor, Burgundy. Yet heavens have glory for this victory.
Warlike and martial Talbot, Burgundy enshrines thee in his heart, and there erects thy noble deeds as valor's monuments.
Thanks, gentle Duke. But where is Pucelle now? I think her old familiar is asleep. Now, where is the bastards' braves? Huh? And Charles, his gleeks? What, all a mort? Rouen hangs her head for grief that such a valiant company are fled. Now, will we take some order in the town, placing therein some expert officers, and then depart to Paris to the king, for there young Henry with his nobles lies.
What wills Lord Talbot pleases Burgundy.
Dismay not, princes, at this accident, nor grieve that Rouen is so recovered. Let frantic Talbot triumph for a while, and like a peacock sweep along his tail. We'll pull his plumes and take away his train, if Dauphin and the rest will be but ruled.
We have been guided by thee hitherto. One sudden foil shall not breed distrust.
Search out thy wit for secret policies, and we will make thee famous through the world.
We'll set thy statue in some holy place, and have thee reverenced like a blessed saint. Employ thee then, sweet virgin, for our good.
Then thus it must be. This doth Joan devise. My fair persuasions, mixed with sugared words, we will entice the Duke of Burgundy to leave the Talbot and to follow us.
Ay, marry, sweeting, if we could do that, France were no place for Henry's warriors.
Forever should they be expulsed from France, and not have title of an earldom here.
Your honours shall perceive how I will work. Bring this matter to the wished end. Hark, by the sound of the drum, you may perceive their powers are marching unto Paris ward. There goes Talbot, with his colours spread, and all the troops of English after him. Now in the rear comes Burgundy, and his unfortune in favour makes him lag behind. Summon a parley, we will talk with him.
A parley with the Duke of Burgundy.
Huh. What sayest thou, Charles, for I am marching hence?
Speak, Pucelle, and enchant him with thy words.
Brave Burgundy, undoubted hope of France, stay, let thy humble handmaid speak to thee.
I speak on, but be not over tedious.
Look on thy country, look on fertile France, and see the cities and the towns defaced by wasting ruin of the cruel foe, as looks the mother on her lowly babe, when death doth close his tender dying eyes. See the pining malady of France. Behold the wounds, the most unnatural wounds, which thou thyself hast given her woeful breast. O turn thy edged sword another way. Strike those that hurt, and not hurt those that help. One drop of blood drawn from thy country's bosom should grieve thee more than streams of foreign gore. Return thee therefore with a flood of tears, and wash away thy country's stained spots.
Either she hath bewitched me with her words, or nature makes me suddenly relent.
Besides, all French and France exclaimed on thee, doubting thy birth and lawful progeny. Who joinest thou with a lordly nation that will not trust thee but for a profit's sake? When Talbot hath set footing once in France and fashioned thee that instrument of hell, who then but English Henry will be lord, and thou be thrust out like a fugitive? See, then thou fightest against thy countrymen, and joinest with them will be thy slaughtermen. Come, come, return, thou wandering lord. Charles and the rest will take thee in their arms.
I'm vanquished. These haughty words of hers have battered me like roaring cannon shot and made me almost yield upon my knees. Forgive me, country, and sweet countrymen, and my lords, accept this hearty kind embrace. My forces and my power of men are yours. So farewell, Talbot. I'll no longer trust thee.
Done like a Frenchman. Turn and turn again.
Welcome, brave Duke, thy friendship makes us fresh.
Pucelle hath bravely played her part in this, and doth deserve a coronet of gold.
Now let us on, my lords, and join our powers, and seek how we may prejudice the foe.
My gracious prince and honorable peers, hearing of your arrival in this realm, I have a while given truce unto my wars, to do my duty to my sovereign, in sign whereof this arm that hath reclaimed to your obedience 50 fortresses, 12 cities, and 7 walled towns of strength, besides 500 prisoners of esteem, lets fall his sword before your highness' feet, and with submissive loyalty of heart ascribes the glory of his conquests first to my God, and next unto your grace.
Is this the Lord Talbot, Uncle Gloucester, that hath so long been resident in France?
Yes, if it please your majesty, my liege.
Welcome, brave captain and victorious lord. When I was young, as yet I am not old, I do remember how my father said a stouter champion never handled sword. Long since we were resolved of your truth, your faithful service, and your toil in war. Therefore, stand up, and for these good deserts here, we create you Earl of Shrewsbury, and in our coronation, take your place.
Now, sir, to you that were so hot at sea, disgracing of these colors that I wear in honor of my noble lord of York, darest thou maintain the former words thou spakest?
Yes, sir, as well as you dare patronage the envious barking of your saucy tongue against my lord, the Duke of Somerset.
Sirrah, thy lord I honor as he is.
Why, what is he, as good a man as York?
Hark ye, not so. In witness, Take ye that.
What? Villain! Thou knowest the law of arms is such that whoso draws a sword is present death, or else this blow should broach thy dearest blood. But I'll unto his majesty and crave I may have liberty to avenge this wrong. And thou shalt see, I'll meet thee at thy cost.
Well, miscreant, I'll be there as soon as you, and after, meet you sooner than you would.
Lord Bishop, set the crown upon his head.
God save King Henry of that name, the 6th.
Now, Governor of Paris, take your oath that you elect no other king but him, esteem none friends but such as are his friends, and none your foes but such as shall pretend malicious practices against the state. This shall you do, so help you righteous God.
My gracious sovereign, as I rode from Calais to haste unto your coronation, a letter was delivered to my hands, writ to your grace from the Duke of Burgundy.
What means his grace that he hath changed his style, no more but plain and bluntly to the king? Hath he forgot he is sovereign? Or doth this churlish superscription pretend some alteration in goodwill? What's here? I have upon a special cause moved with compassion of my country's wreck, together with the pitiful complaints of such as your oppression feeds upon, forsaken your pernicious faction, and joined with Charles, the rightful king of France. Oh, monstrous treachery! Can this be so?
What, doth my uncle Burgundy revolt?
He doth, my lord, and is become your foe.
Is that the worst this letter doth contain?
It is the worst and all, my lord, he writes.
Why then, Lord Talbot here shall talk with him, and give him chastisement for this abuse. How say you, my lord, are you not content?
Content, my liege. Yes, but that I am prevented. I should have begged I might have been employed.
Then gather strength, and march unto him straight. Let him perceive how ill we brook his treason, and what offence it is to flout his friends.
I go, my lord, and heart desiring still, you may behold confusion of your foes.
Grant me the combat, gracious sovereign.
And me, my lord, grant me the combat too.
This is my servant. Hear him, noble prince.
And this is mine, sweet Henry, favor him.
Thy story.
Be patient, lords, and give them leave to speak.
Crossing the sea from England into France, this fellow here with envious carping tongue upbraided me about this rose that I wear, saying the sanguine color of the leaves did represent my master's blushing cheeks, in confutation of which rude approach, and in defense of my lord's worthiness, I crave the benefit of law of arms.
And that is my petition, noble lord, for no, my lord, I was provoked by him, and he first took exceptions at this badge, pronouncing that the paleness of this flower bewrayed the faintness of my master's heart.
Not this malice, Somerset, be left.
Your private grudge, my lord of York, will out, though ne'er so cunningly you smother it.
Good Lord, what madness rules in brain-sick men, when for so slight and frivolous a cause such factious emulation shall arise. Good cousins both, of York and Somerset, quiet yourselves, I pray, and be at peace.
Let this dissension first be tried by fight, and then your highness shall command a peace.
The quarrel toucheth none but us alone, betwixt ourselves. Let us decide it then.
Presumptuous vassals, are you not ashamed with this immodest clamorous outrage to trouble and disturb the king and us? And you, my lords, methinks you do not well to bear with their perverse objections, much less to take occasion from their mouths to raise a mutiny betwixt yourselves. Let me persuade you to make a better course.
Grieves his highness. Good my lords, be friends.
Come hither, you that would be combatants. Henceforth I charge you, as you love our favor, quite to forget this quarrel and the cause. And you, my lords, remember where we are, in France, amongst a fickle, wavering nation. If they perceive dissension in our looks, and that within ourselves we disagree, how will their grudging stomachs be provoked to willful disobedience and rebel? Beside, what infamy will there arise when foreign princes shall be certified that for a toy, a thing of no regard, King Henry's peers and chief nobility destroyed themselves and lost the realm of France? think upon the conquest of my father, my tender years, and let us not forego that for a trifle that was bought with blood. Let me be empire in this doubtful strife. I see no reason, if I wear this rose, that anyone should therefore be suspicious. I'm more inclined to Somerset than York. Both are my kinsmen, and I love them both. Cousin of York, we institute your grace to be our regent in these parts of France. And good my lord of Somerset, unite your troops of horsemen with his bands of footmen, and like true subjects, sons of your progenitors, go cheerfully together and digest your angry choler on your enemies. Ourself, our Lord Protector, and the rest, after some respite, will return to Calais, from thence to England, where I hope ere long to be presented by your victories with Charles, Alençon, and that traitorous rout.
My lord of York, I promise you the king prettily, methought, did play the orator.
And so he did. But yet I like it not in that he wears the badge of Somerset.
Tush, that was but his fancy, blame him not. I dare presume, sweet prince, he thought no harm.
And if I wished he did, but let it rest. Other affairs must now be managed.
Well didst thou, Richard, to suppress thy voice. For had the passions of thy heart burst out, I fear we should have seen deciphered there more rancorous spite, more furious raging broils than yet can be imagined or supposed. But howsoe'er, no simple man that sees this jarring discord of nobility, this shouldering of each other in the court, this factious bandying of their favourites, but that it does presage some ill event. 'Tis much when sceptres are in children's hands, but more when envy breeds unkind division. There comes the rain, there begins confusion.
Go to the gates of Bordeaux, trumpeter. Summon their general under the wall. English John Talbot, captains, calls you forth. Servant in arms to Harry, King of England, and thus he would. Open your city gates. Be humble to us. Call my sovereign yours, and do him homage as obedient subjects, and I will withdraw me and my bloody power. But if you frown upon this proffered peace, you tempt the fury of my 3 attendants, lean famine, quartering steel, and climbing fire, who in a moment, even with the earth, shall lay your stately and air-braving towers if you forsake the offer of their love.
Thou ominous and fearful owl of death, our nation's terror and their bloody scourge. The period of thy tyranny approacheth. On either hand thee there are squadrons pitched to wall thee from the liberty of flight, and no way canst thou turn thee for redress, but death doth front thee with apparent spoil, and pale destruction meets thee in the face. Hark! Hark! The dolphin's drum, a warning bell, sings heavy music to thy timorous soul, and mine shall ring thy dire departure out.
He fables not, I hear the enemy. Oh, negligent and heedless discipline! How are we parked and bounded in a pail? A little herd of England's timorous deer, mazed with a yelping kennel of French curs. If we be English deer, be then in blood. Not rascal-like to fall down with a pinch, but rather moody mad and desperate stags turn on the bloody hounds with heads of steel and make the cowards stand aloof at bay. Sell every man his life as dear as mine, and they shall find dear, dear of us, my friends, God and St. George. Talbot and England's right, prosper our colors in this dangerous fight.
Not the speedy scouts returned again that dogged the mighty army of the Dauphin?
They are returned, my lord, and give it out that he has marched to Bordeaux with his power to fight with Talbot. As he marched along, by your espials were discovered 2 mightier troops than that the Dauphin led, which joined with him and made their march for Bordeaux.
Plague upon that villain Somerset, that thus delays my promised supply of horsemen that were levied for this siege. Renowned Talbot did expect my aid, and I am louted by a traitor villain and cannot help the noble chevalier. God comfort him in this necessity. If he miscarry, farewell wars in France.
Thou princely leader of our English strength, spur to the rescue of the noble Talbot, who now is girdled with a waist of iron and hemmed about with grim destruction.
God, that Somerset, who in proud heart doth stop my cornets, were in Talbot's place. So should we save a valiant gentleman by forfeiting the traitor and the coward.
Oh, send some succor to the distressed lord.
He dies, we lose. I break my warlike word. We mourn, France smiles, we lose. They daily get all long of this vile traitor Somerset.
Then God take mercy on brave Talbot's soul, and on his young son, young John, who 2 hours since I met in travel towards his warlike father. This 7 years did not Talbot see his son, and now they meet where both their lives are done.
Alas, what joy shall noble Talbot have to bid his young son welcome to his grave. Lucy, farewell. No more my fortune can, but curse the cause, I cannot aid the man. Maine, Blois, Poitiers, and Tours are won away. Long all of Somerset and his delay.
Thus, while the vulture of sedition feeds in the bosom of such great commanders, sleeping neglection doth betray to loss the conquest of our scarce cold conqueror, that ever-living man of memory, Henry V, whilst they each other cross, lives, honours, lands, and all hurry to loss.
It is too late. I cannot send them now. This expedition was by York and Talbot too rashly plotted. The overdaring Talbot hath sullied all the gloss of former honour by this unheedful, desperate, wild adventure. York set him on to fight and die in shame. That, Talbot dead, great York might bear the name.
I hear is Sir William Lucy, who with me set from our o'ermatched forces forth for aid.
How now? Sir William, whither were you sent? Sir William Lucy.
Whither, my lord, from bought and sold Lord Talbot, who, ringed about with bold adversity, cries out for noble York and Somerset.
York set him on. York should have sent him aid.
And York as fast upon your grace exclaims, swearing that you withhold his levied host collected for this expedition.
York lies. He might have sent and had the horse. I owe him little duty, and less love. And take the foul scorn to fawn on him by sending.
The fraud of England, not the force of France, hath now entrapped the noble-minded Talbot. Never to England shall he bear his life, but dies, betrayed to fortune by your strife.
Go. I will dispatch the horsemen straight. Within 6 hours they'll be at his aid.
Too late comes rescue. He is ta'en or slain.
If he be dead, brave Talbot, then adieu.
His fame lives in the world, his shame in you.
Oh, young John Talbot. Young John Talbot. I love you, young John Talbot. I did send for thee, to tutor thee in stratagems of war. Now thou art come unto a feast of death. Therefore, dear boy, mount on my swiftest horse, and I will direct thee how thou shalt escape by sudden flight. Come, dally not, begone!
Is my name Talbot? And am I your son, and shall I fly? Dishonour not my mother. The world will say he is not Talbot's blood that basely fled while noble Talbot stood.
Fly to revenge my death if I be slain.
Oh, he that flies so will ne'er return again. Stay, go, do what you will. The like do I, for live I will. Not if my father die.
And here I take my leave of thee, fair son, born to eclipse thy life this afternoon. Come, side by side together, live and die, and soul with soul, from France to heaven fly. After Talbot broke his word and left us to the rage of France's sword, wilt thou yet leave the battle, boy, and fly? Now thou art sealed the son of chivalry. Fly to revenge my death when I am dead. The help of one stands me in little stead. By me they nothing gain, and if I stay, 'tis but the shortening of my life one day. In thee, thy mother dies. Our household's name, my death's revenge, thy youth and England's fame. All these and more we hazard by thy stay. All these are saved if thou wilt fly away.
Before young Talbot from old Talbot fly, the coward horse that bears me fail and die. Surely, by all the glory you have won, and if I fly, I am not Talbot's son. Then talk no more of flight, it is no boot. If son to Talbot, die at Talbot's foot.
Follow thou thy desperate sire of Crete, thou Icarus. Thy life to me is sweet, and if thou wilt fight, fight by thy father's side, and commendable proved, let's die in pride. Where's my other life? My own life is gone. Where is that young Talbot? Where is valiant John? Triumphant death. Smeared with captivity, young Talbot's valor makes me smile at thee. In the clustering battle of the French, in that sea of blood, my boy did drench his overmounting spirit, and there died. My Icarus, my blossom in his pride. Oh, thou, whose wounds become hard-favored death, speak to thy father ere thou yield thy breath. Brave death by speaking, whether he will or no. Imagine him a Frenchman and thy foe. Poor boy, he smiles, methinks, as who would say, had death been French, then death today would die. Come, and lay him in his father's arms. My spirit can no longer bear these harms. Soldiers, adieu. I have what I would have. Now my old arms are young John Talbot's grave.
Had York and Somerset brought rescue in, we should have found a bloody day of this.
How the young whelp of Talbot's raging wood did flesh his puny sword in Frenchman's blood.
Doubtless he would have made a noble knight. See where he lies enhearsed in his arms of the most bloody nurser of his arms.
Hew them to pieces. Hack their bones asunder, whose life was England's glory, Gallia's wonder.
Oh no, forbear. For that which we have fled during the life, let us not wrong it dead.
Herald, conduct me to the Dauphin's tent, to know who hath obtained the glory of the day.
On what submissive message art thou sent?
Submission, Dauphin, 'tis a mere French word. We English warriors wot not what it means. I come to know what prisoners thou hast ta'en, and to survey the bodies of the dead.
For prisoners, ask'st thou? Hell our prison is. But tell me who thou seekest.
But where's the great Alcides of the field, valiant Lord Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury, created for his rare success in arms, great Earl of Washford, Waterford, and Valence, Lord Talbot of Goodrig and Urchinfield, the thrice victorious Lord of Falconbridge, Knight of the Noble Order of St. George, worthy St. Michael in the Golden Fleece, great Marshal to Henry VI of all his wars within the realm of France.
Him that thou magnifiest with all these titles, thinking and fly blown, lies here at our feet.
Oh, will mine eyeballs turn to bullets turned, that I in rage might shoot them at your faces. Oh, that I could but call these dead to life, it were enough to fright the realm of France. Were but his picture left amongst you here, it would amaze the proudest of you all. Give me their bodies, that I may bear them hence, and give them burial as beseems their worth.
For God's sakes, let them have them. Keep them here, they would but stink and putrefy the air.
Go take their bodies hence.
I'll bear them hence, but from their ashes shall be reared a phoenix that shall make all of France afeard.
So we be rid of them, do with them what thou wilt. And now to Paris in this conquering vein. All will be ours, now bloody Talbot's slain.
Have you perused the letters from the Pope, the Emperor, and the Earl of Armagnac?
I have, my lord, and their intent is this. They humbly sue unto your excellence to have a godly peace concluded between the realms of England and of France.
How doth your grace affect their motion?
Well, my good lord, and as the only means to stop effusion of our Christian blood and establish quietness on every side.
Ay, marry, uncle, for I always thought it was both impious and unnatural that such immanity and bloody strife should reign among professors of one faith.
Decide, my lord, the sooner to effect, and sure bind this knot of amity. The Earl of Armagnac, near knit to Charles, a man of great authority in France, proffers his only daughter to your grace in marriage with a large and sumptuous dowry.
Marriage, uncle? Alas, my years are young, and fitter is my study and my books than wanton dalliance with a paramour. Yet call the ambassador, and as you please, so let them have their answers every one. I shall be well content with any choice tends to God's glory and my country's weal. Ah, my lords, ambassadors, your several suits have been considered and debated on, and therefore are we certainly resolved to draw conditions of a friendly peace, which, by my lord of Winchester, we mean shall be transported presently to France.
And for the proffer of my lord your master, I have informed his highness so at large, as liking of the lady's virtuous gifts, her beauty and the value of her dower, he doth intend she shall be England's queen.
In argument and proof of which contract, bear her this jewel, the pledge of my affection, and so, my lord protector, see them guarded and safely brought to Dover, where in shipped commit them to the fortune of the sea.
Stay, my lord legate. You shall first receive the sum of money which I promised should be delivered to his holiness for clothing me in these grave ornaments.
I will attend upon your lordship's leisure.
Now Winchester will not submit, I trow, or be inferior to the proudest peer. Humphrey of Gloucester, thou shalt well perceive that neither in birth or for authority the bishop will be overborne by thee. I'll either make thee stoop and bend thy knee, or sack this country with a mutiny.
These news, my lord, may cheer our drooping spirits. 'Tis said the stout Parisians do revolt and turn again into the warlike French.
Ah, then march to Paris, royal Charles of France, and keep not back your powers in dalliance.
Peace be amongst them, if they turn to us, else ruin combat with their palaces.
Success unto our valiant general, and happiness to his accomplices.
What tidings send our scouts? I prithee speak.
The English army that divided was into two parties is now conjoined in one, and means to give you battle presently.
Somewhat too sudden, sirs, the warning is, but we will presently provide for them.
I trust the ghost of Talbot is not there. Now he is gone, my lord, you need not fear.
Of all base passions, fear is most accursed. Command the conquest, Charles, it shall be thine. Let Henry fret and all the world repine.
Then on, my lords, and France be fortunate.
The regent conquers, and the Frenchmen fly. Now help, ye charming spells and periapts, and ye choice spirits that admonish me, and give me signs of future accidents. Appear and aid me in this enterprise. The speedy and quick appearance argues proof of your accustomed diligence to me. Now, ye familiar spirits that are culled out of the powerful regions under earth, help me this once that France may get the field. Oh, hold me not with silence over long, where I was wont to feed you with my blood. I'll lop a member off, for the benefit. Please, so you consent to help me now. No, hope to have redress? My body shall pay recompense if you will grant my suit. Do not my body nor my blood sacrifice entreat you to your wonted furtherance? Then take my soul, my body, soul and all, for that England give the French the foil. Oh, see, they forsake me. Now the time is come. France must veil her lofty plumed crest, and let her head fall into England's lap. My ancient incantations are too weak, and hell too strong for me to buckle with. Now, France, thy glory droopeth to the dust.
Damsel of France, I think I have you fast. Unchain your spirits now with spelling charms, and try if they can gain your liberty. A goodly prize, fit for the devil's grace. See how the ugly wench doth bend her brows, as if with Circe she would change my shape.
Change to a worse shape thou canst not be.
Fell banning hag, enchantress, hold thy tongue.
I prithee, give me leave to curse a while.
Curse, miscreant, when thou comest to the stake.
Be what thou wilt, thou art my prisoner. O fairest beauty, do not fear nor fly, for I will touch thee with but reverent hands. I kiss these fingers for eternal peace, and lay them gently on thy tender side. What art thou? Say that I may honour thee.
Margaret, my name, and daughter to a king, the King of Naples, whosoe'er thou art.
An earl I am, and Suffolk am I called. Be not offended, nature's miracle, thou art allotted to be ta'en by me. So doth the swan her downy signet save, keeping them prisoner underneath her wings. Yet if this servile usage once offend, go and be free again as Suffolk's friend. Oh, stay! I have no power to let her pass. My hand would free her, but my heart says no. Fain would I woo her, yet I dare not speak.
Say, Earl of Suffolk, if thy name be so, what ransom must I pay before I pass? For I perceive I am thy prisoner.
How canst thou tell she will deny thy suit before thou make a trial of her love?
Why speakst thou not? What ransom must I pay?
She's beautiful, and therefore should be wooed. She is a woman, therefore should be won.
Wilt thou accept of ransom, yea or no?
Fond man, remember that thou hast a wife. How then can Margaret be thy paramour?
I were best to leave him, for he will not hear.
There all is marred, there lies a cooling card.
He talks at random, sure the man is mad.
Yet a dispensation may be had.
And yet I would that you would answer me.
I'll win this Lady Margaret. For whom? Why, for the king. Tush! That's a wooden thing.
He talks of wood. It is some carpenter?
Yet so my fancy may be satisfied, and peace established between these realms. But there remains a scruple in that too, for though her father be the King of Naples, Duke of Anjou and Maine, yet he is poor, and our nobility will scorn the match.
Hear ye? Captain, are you not at leisure?
It shall be so, disdain they ne'er so much. Henry is youthful, and will quickly yield. Madam, I have a secret to reveal.
What though I be enthralled? He seems a knight, and will not any way dishonour me.
Lady, vouchsafe to listen what I have to say.
Perhaps I shall be rescued by the French, and then I need not crave his courtesy.
Sweet madam, give me hearing in a cause.
Tush, women have been captivate ere now.
Lady, wherefore talk you so?
I cry you mercy, 'tis but quid pro quo.
Say, gentle princess, would you not suppose your bondage happy to be made a queen?
To be a queen in bondage is more vile than is a slave in base servility, for princes should be free.
And so shall you, if England's happy royal king be free.
What concerns his freedom unto me?
I'll undertake to make thee Henry's queen, to put a golden sceptre in thy hand, and set a precious crown upon thy head, if thou wilt condescend to be my...
What?
His love.
I am unworthy to be Henry's wife.
No, gentle madam, I unworthy am to woo so fair a dame to be his wife, and have no portion in the choice myself. How say you, madam, are ye so content?
And if my father please, I am content.
Then call our captains and our colours forth, and madam, at your father's castle walls, will crave a parley to confer with him. See, Renier, see thy daughter prisoner.
To whom?
To me.
Suffolk, what remedy? I am a soldier and unapt to weep or to exclaim on fortune's fickleness.
Yes, there is remedy enough, my lord. Consent, and for thy honour give consent. Thy daughter shall be wedded to my king.
Speaks Suffolk as he thinks.
Fair Margaret knows that Suffolk doth not flatter face or feign.
Welcome, brave earl, into our territories. Command in Anjou what your honour pleases.
Thanks, Renier. Happy for so sweet a child, fit to be made companion with a king. But what answer makes your grace unto my suit?
Upon condition I may quietly enjoy mine own, the country main and Anjou, free from oppression or the stroke of war, my daughter shall be Henry's, if he please.
That is her ransom. I deliver her, and those two countries I will undertake, your grace shall well and quietly enjoy.
And I again, in Henry's royal name, as deputy unto that gracious king, give thee her hand, for sign of plighted faith.
Rene of France, I give thee kingly thanks, because this is in traffic of a king. I'll over then to England with the news, and make this marriage to be solemnized. So farewell, Renier. Set this diamond safe in golden palaces, as it becomes.
I do embrace thee as I would embrace the Christian prince, King Henry, were he here.
Farewell, my lord. Good wishes, praise, and prayers.
Farewell. Praise and prayers shall Suffolk ever have of Margaret.
Farewell, sweet madam. But hark you, Margaret, no princely commendations to my king.
Such commendations as become a maid, a virgin, and his servant, say to him.
Words sweetly placed and modestly directed, but madam, I must trouble you again. No loving token to his majesty.
Yes, my good lord, a pure, unspotted heart, never yet taint with love, I send the king.
And this withal.
That for thyself. I will not so presume to send such peevish tokens to a king.
Or wert thou for myself? But Suffolk, stay! Thou mayest not wander in that labyrinth. There minotaurs and ugly treasons lurk. Solicit Henry with her wondrous praise. Bethink thee on her virtues that surmount and natural graces that extinguish art. Repeat their semblance often on the seas, that when thou comest to kneel at Henry's feet, thou mayst bereave him of his wits with wonder.
Bring forth that sorceress condemned to birth.
Oh, Joan, this kills thy father's heart outright. Have I sought every country far and near, and now it is my chance to find thee out. Must I behold thy timeless cruel death? Ah, Joan, sweet daughter Joan, I'll die with thee.
Decrepit miser, base ignoble wretch, I am descended of a gentler blood. Thou art no father, nor no friend of mine.
Well, out, oh my lords, and please you, 'tis not so. I did beget her, all the parish knows. Her mother liveth yet, can testify. She was the first fruit of my bachelorship.
Graceless, wilt thou deny thy parentage?
Fie, Joan, that thou wilt be so obstacle. God knows thou art a collop of my flesh, and for thy sake I shed many a tear. Deny me not, I prithee, gentle Joan.
Present of vaunt, you have suborned this man, of purpose to obscure my noble birth.
But it is true. I gave a noble to the priest the morn that I was wedded to your mother. Oh, now kneel down and take my blessing. Good my girl, wilt thou not stop? Dost thou deny thy father? cursed drab! Oh, burn her! Burn her! Hanging is too good!
Take her away, for she hath lived too long to fill the world with vicious qualities.
First, let me tell you whom you have condemned. Not me begotten of a shepherd swain, but issued from the progeny of kings, virtuous and holy, chosen from above, by inspiration of celestial grace, to work exceeding miracles on earth. I never had to do with wicked spirits, but you that are polluted with your lusts, stained with the guiltless blood of innocents, you judge it straight a thing impossible to compass wonders but by help of devils. No, misconceived. Joan of Arc hath been a virgin from her tender infancy, chaste and immaculate in very thought, whose maiden blood thus rigorously effused will cry for vengeance at the gates of heaven.
Aye, aye, away with her to execution.
Place barrels of pitch upon the fatal stake, that so her torture may be shortened.
Will nothing turn your unrelenting heart? Joan, discover thine infirmity. It warrants by law to be thy privilege. I am with child, bloody homicide. Murder not then the fruit within my womb, although you hail me to a violent death.
Now heaven forfend the holy maid with child.
The greatest miracle that e'er ye wrought? Is all your strict preciseness come to this?
She and the Dauphin have been juggling. I did imagine what would be her refuge.
Well, go to. We'll have no bastards live, especially since Charles must father it.
You are deceived. My child is none of his. It was Alcesson that enjoyed my love.
Alençon, that notorious Machiavel, it dies, and if it had 1,000 lives.
Oh, give me leave. I have deluded you. It was neither Charles nor yet the Duke I named, but Rainier, King of Naples, that prevailed.
A married man? Now, that's intolerable.
Why, here's a girl. I think she knows not well there were so many whom she may accuse. And yet, forsooth, she is a virgin pure. Strumpet, thy words condemn thy brat and thee.
Lead me hence, with whom I leave my curse. May never glorious sun reflects his beams upon the country where you make abode. Darkness and the gloomy shade of death environ you till mischief and despair drive you to break your necks or hang yourselves.
Break thou in pieces, and consume to ashes, thou foul, accursed minister of hell.
Lord Regent, I do greet your excellence with letters of commission from the king. For know, my lords, the states of Christendom, moved with remorse of these outrageous broils, have earnestly implored a general peace betwixt our nation and the aspiring French. And here at hand the Dauphin and his train approacheth to confer about some matter.
Is all our travail turned to this effect? After the slaughter of so many peers, so many captains, gentlemen, and soldiers that in this quarrel have been overthrown and sold their bodies for their country's benefit, shall we at last conclude effeminate peace?
Be patient, York. If we conclude a peace, it shall be with such strict and severe covenants as little shall the Frenchmen gain thereby.
Since, lords of England, it is thus agreed that peaceful truth shall be proclaimed in France, we come to be informed by yourselves what the conditions of that league must be.
Charles and the rest, it is enacted thus, that in regard King Henry gives consent to ease your country of distressful war and suffer you to breathe in fruitful peace, you shall become true liegemen to his crown. And Charles, upon condition thou wilt swear to pay him tribute, submit thyself, thou shalt be placed as viceroy under him, and still enjoy thy royal dignity.
This proper is absurd and reasonless.
'Tis known already that I am possessed with more than half the Gallian territories. No, Lord Ambassador, I'll rather keep that which I have than coveting for more be cast from possibility of all.
Sultan Charles, either accept our terms, or we will plague thee with incessant wars.
To say the truth, it is your policy to save your subjects from such massacre and ruthless slaughters as are daily seen by our proceedings in hostility, and therefore take this compact of a truce, although you break it when your pleasure serves.
How sayest thou, Charles? Shall our conditions stand?
Shall.
So now dismiss your army when you please. Hang up your ensign, let your drums be still, for here we entertain a solemn peace.
Your wondrous, rare description, noble Earl, of beauteous Margaret hath astonished me.
Tush, my lord, this superficial tale is but a preface of her worthy praise.
Therefore, my Lord Protector, give consent that Margaret may be England's royal queen.
You know, my lord, your highness is betrothed unto another lady of esteem. How shall we then dispense with that contract and not deface your honor with reproach?
As doth a ruler with unlawful oaths. A poor earl's daughter is unequal odds, and therefore may be broke without offence.
What I pray is Margaret more than that? Her father is no better than an earl, although in glorious titles he excel.
Yes, lord, her father is a king, the king of Naples and Jerusalem, and of such great authority in France as his alliance will confirm our peace and keep the Frenchmen in allegiance.
And so the Earl of Armagnac may do, because he is near kinsman unto Charles.
Beside, his wealth doth warrant a liberal dower, where Renier sooner will receive than give.
A dower, my lords? Disgrace not so your king that he should be so abject, base, and poor to choose for wealth and not for perfect love. Marriage is a matter of more worth than to be dealt with by attorneyship. Her valiant courage and undaunted spirit, more than in woman commonly is seen, will answer our hope in issue of a king. For Henry, son unto a conqueror, is likely to beget more conquerors, if with a lady of so high resolve as is fair Margaret he be linked in love. Then yield, my lords, and here conclude with me that Margaret shall be queen, and none but she.
Whether it be through force of your report, my noble Lord of Suffolk, or for that my tender youth was never yet attaint with any passion of inflaming love, I cannot tell. But this I am assured. I feel such sharp dissension in my breast, such fierce alarums, both of hope and fear, as I am sick with working of my thoughts. Take, therefore, shipping, post my lord de France, agree to any covenants, and procure that Lady Margaret do vouchsafe to come to cross the seas to England and be crowned King Henry's faithful and anointed queen.
Thus Suffolk hath prevailed, and thus he goes as did the youthful Paris once to Greece, with hope to find the like event in love, but prosper better than the Trojan did. Margaret shall now be queen and rule the king, but I will rule both her, the king, and realm.
I have the very exciting job of asking some questions tonight. Hey, thank you all for my fellow actors. You are so much fun to play with always. And thank you to everybody who shows up and has been showing up. It's amazing to check out the chat and see so many familiar names. I feel like I'm starting to know you by your usernames. And so I feel like I'm in middle school again with all my online friends. Thank you. So as always, we are kicking it off with our first question of the night. What did you learn about this play that you did not know before today? We're going to check in with our cast and then we'll hit YouTube.
I learned that
I didn't
Alanson
know.
was a
Ooh.
Machiavellian sort of creature, and I didn't realize that until the last 3 pages of the play today.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that
tell me.
Talbot's death is heartbreaking.
Absolutely. Yeah, Tash, go ahead.
I had no idea that this is the beginning of the War of the Roses.
Mm-hmm.
I had that realization too. That was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Also, just how amazing Joan, like that character arc. Like, I'd just forgotten that she's so present in the play. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great work, Tash.
Does anybody have any idea whether Joan, in those last moments, is there any historical background that says that she said she was pregnant and that she was pregnant by this, that, or is that all Shakespeare's invention? That's my question.
Ooh, that is a great question. Maybe maybe someone does some quick research before the pub tonight. Any other thoughts from the cast? Things you learned tonight? Today? Yesterday?
Learn from the group that history can really be fun.
How much fighting this was, like a lot of fighting and creativity happening in this reading to kind of make it really live. But there was so much fighting.
One of the things that I learned tonight was there's like a very specific set requirement for this play. Like he specifies when people are on the walls or like inside or outside and like what side of a door somebody is on. And that's really fascinating to me.
It's a really filmic script in that way, of just pushing people around, having fights come in. It really lends itself to that idea of storytelling visually rather than just with words.
Yeah. From the YouTube, we have a bunch of thoughts. First, everything, because this is my first time seeing the play, and I can say I enjoyed it the most out of the histories so far. So, boo on you. We also have, didn't think of Talbot as such a warrior, almost Henry V-like. It's interesting seeing that back to back. Interesting that it's another play where the man is being forced to marry. Most of the time it's the woman being used as a pawn, but I know we talked about one earlier where it happened to the man. So lots of thoughts on the new discoveries about the play.
Amazing. Yeah, keep those thoughts coming. We'll definitely try to double back as we're moving through these Q's and A's. So let's jump to the next question. What word / image / phrase jumped out at you today?
Definitely Tosh holding the ruler. Point fix. That was really nice. I love that.
The phrase, I can't quote it exactly, but there's a phrase, and I forget who says it, about the nobles shouldering each other out of the way. They're close together and they're just like this, we would say elbowing, but they're shouldering each other out of the way. And you get such a clear image from that of how political this whole situation is. And really, I think for Henry, he's in a pretty dire position because he's not strong and everybody around him thinks that they can rule better than him.
That must be really weird as well if you're a kid and there's all these apparent grown-ups all around you just jostling for position, and you're meant to, in some way, be in control of that, even though you aren't. Yeah, that's really interesting.
I think seeing this back to back with Henry V, I'm really struck by the shifts in pace and how effective they are. When, like Jenny was saying, we have so many of these like indications of like skirmish, alarm, skirmish, they fight. But then we slow down and we have this like gorgeous Talbot scene that's so small and so intimate, and suddenly you're drawn to this character that otherwise you might have lost in the shuffle. And then at the end, we shift over to Suffolk and Margaret. And again, you kind of forget that there have been wars going on at all, because suddenly you're just drawn into these two people. I think we saw that in Henry V as well, obviously without the battles, but there's so much political busyness. And then when it slows down and you get a highlight on these characters and the relationships, it just reinvigorates the story, and it draws you in such an intense way. So realizing that as a mode within the history is real smart stuff.
Yeah, that Suffolk Margaret scene is so awesome. But I think it like the like overhearing asides, and they're like, "Who the hell are you talking to? What are you doing over there?" Well, I guess I'll do this now too. You do that. I'll just do this too. How are you?
I can't think of many other moments where the asides are that so clearly obvious to the other person. Yeah. Where you're just watching someone lose their mind briefly through adoration for another human being, not just. It's not just an aside. It's a complete breakdown of one's own humanity. It's really odd.
It almost feels like he's making fun of asides, like as a writer. Like, here's this silly thing characters do now, but they're gonna know it.
I feel like there's a snippet of it in 1-1-3 of Mackers, where Banquo and the crew are like, "What's he doing over there?"
Yeah,
but like at least Banquo was like running defense, whereas both Margaret and Suffolk have no one in this play to run defense for them in that moment. They're doing it at the same time, which is like joyous.
Yeah, he does. He loves to riff on his sides actually and just break it. He does it in Romeo and Juliet, doesn't he? At the mask, Romeo's going on to us about how great she is, and Tybalt hears it. "Oi, I know that voice." And he's big and then comes and goes, "Why are you talking to all that lot?" It's like all the layers of the onion are just gorgeous.
And I like it, right?
What was that, Dan?
Nope. Sorry. I was just saying. Nope.
I was going to check in on the YouTubers.
Well, during the show, there was a lot of calling out of the imagery of bear words, like forbear and bear them hence. And Wilson's tragic, beautiful demise. Wilson's getting another Emmy nomination for this one, I think.
Quite right, too.
We also have What Madness Rules in Brain-Sick Men. And the word saucy popping out as well. Also, pucelle or puzzle, dauphin or dogfish. Also, a Richard Joan parallel that they had not noticed was there before. Yeah, those are the thoughts.
Ooh, I love how much I feel like every night we take such a long time to get to speak, and this play everyone is like, "I have thought." That's super exciting. Okay, why does or doesn't this play matter today? What feels relevant? What feels irrelevant?
I think what's relevant to me is that everybody in this play is in it for themselves. And quite like today in what we see in politics. You have a person who is in charge, who is weak and does not rule very well. And so everybody around is trying to figure out how they can get what they want. And that's just like totally, totally what we're going through today, in my opinion.
And I think seeing the means of persuasion they wield and the ways they connect with ideas of loyalty, this comes up obviously in so many of the other history plays, but seeing them back to back, reveals just this pattern. It just makes you question, like, to whom do you owe any loyalty at all? Because people are spouting, family names, and it's intergenerational, talking about uncles and great uncles and, vaulting back. But then you've got the nation, but then you've got the church. There are just so many different strings that everybody's constantly tugging on. And Deb, like you said, ultimately, it's not a question of, but are you loyal to the cause? Are you loyal to the whole? It's, are you loyal to the thing that will advance me? Or, can I persuade you to be loyal to the thing that actually just, vaults me forward? And right now, I think we're being asked, whether it's being spoken or not, to decide, okay, like, who do you stand with? What do you stand with? And it's overwhelming to imagine all of the things that we've ever been, tied to, and to think what it means to take a stand, yet knowing that that's essential. And we have to think beyond, beyond the individual.
And for so many of these guys as well, depending on which string they decide to pull is a gamble. And they're willing to, they don't necessarily have a solid opinion of where they stand or what they believe in. But if I pull on this, I think it might be a bit safer than if I pull on that one. So I'm going to go in this direction rather than that one. There's a hypocrisy running through the whole thing that you can just smell.
Right, and
Yeah,
all of those strings are like one cat's tail or another. Like, I know this is going to bite me, but is this going to bite me better or worse than that other one?
I think the other thing that I see in this is the sorrow from so many about the passing of great warriors. Henry V and Talbot were the great, great warriors of their time. And with them really goes war that was fought in a chivalrous way. That goes out that when Joan La Pucelle comes in, she is fighting guerrilla warfare, and they are not prepared for it. They don't know what to do about it, and they are soundly beaten. But all the rules, those chivalrous rules of how we're supposed to engage with one another, they go out the window. And it's almost like, and then you have a ruler who is really doesn't care, just I want everybody to be happy is really what, Henry VI is saying. So there's just no strength at the top. And so it's a changeover from one kind of leadership to a completely different kind of leadership in the world. And I think that's really that's what sets up so much change for the next, why we have, 3-4 plays about this thing, I think.
Nope. Yeah, Chrissy, please.
No, you go, Dylan. Please.
Okay. This one might not have hit as hard as it would have 2 weeks ago, just because I got so mad at the king when they told Gloucester to put down like the rebels, the protesters, like those thugs. Keep them quiet. I don't want this problem. Not now. That's not me. All these like people shouting for justice. I got so mad as Dylan, not as Gloucester, today at those words, hearing those words, to keep people quiet, to stop rhetoric of justice and humanity. And that would not have hit me that way a couple weeks ago because of how I was born and like my conditioning, but specifically because of the events of the past week and the change we've seen through protest. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why this guy's work always is sort of amorphous in import, because it is reflective of the time of the day. And today that struck me really strongly.
I was gonna just add doing the Talbot Son bit made me like think a little bit of Sondheim It's like, careful the things you say, children will listen. Because you wonder, saying the words, it was like this beautiful moment where he was like, I'm not going to let you die alone. But why did he believe that like that was the right and honorable thing to do? And where did he learn those lessons to say,
Ooh, that's a very somber note to check in with the YouTubers.
Yeah, from YouTube we have some similar thoughts. This play has an echo of that idea that England will not be defeated except by itself, which resonates in an environment of intense partisanship. Also, celebration.
Really relevant at the minute, that.
Right? Agreement with Deb's points that Henry VI is still such a child in this play, and interested to see if he continues with his "I just want everyone to be happy" attitude in the next couple of parts. And in spite of all, the surprising nature when Henry VI so forcefully calls out Somerset and York for fighting over the slight and frivolous cause.
Hey, yeah. Any questions come up in the YouTube chat that we have?
Well, we have from earlier on, we had a little chat amongst some of us, but it's a question in the YouTube chat, so I'm going to use it anyway. On the debate scholarship thoughts on this play as a collaboration, which I think is always an interesting thing to unpack. So if anyone has thoughts or academic insights into that nature, the question of it as a collaboration, maybe the facts of it, if such facts exist.
I don't know anything about it from history, but a lot of it certainly sounds not like the Shakespeare we get used to in later plays. So I would not be at all surprised if it was in somebody else in parts of it.
I'm getting weird background voices. What's going on there?
Yeah.
Not me.
Nor I.
I hope.
But this is actually the a prequel, isn't it? I mean, if we look at the order that he wrote them, it was the second one first, the third one next, and then this one was the last one.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
But I think I agree also. There's at the beginning of it, there's not really much Shakespearean voice in there in the writing. You're not as gripped with it. But when we get to characters like Talbot and Suffolk and Margaret, that's just it just is Shakespeare. That has to be Shakespeare. But I don't have a clue who else it was that's supposedly had a hand in this. I could look.
I think the most recent RSC edition attributed it to Marlowe and Shakespeare.
Who was the there was a first name Thomas somebody at that time.
Oh, they were all called Thomas.
Yeah,
Middleton?
Thomas Haywood. I thought he was one who was attributed to write this with Shakespeare.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't really read like Marlowe either. There's like just the stage directions alone, the things that we were talking about that make this play so fascinating to play, particularly having done so much of the canon already with this group, where like we can feel the ways in which the text is so physically different. It looks different on the page. Like it's weird.
And there was I love that little bit with the dear. It reminded me of Holophanes in Love's Labour's Lost. So it was that just felt Shakespearean as well.
Not Thomas Haywood, Thomas Nash.
Thomas Nash. Okay.
Right. And it
That's
said that
satirical rogue.
it was possibly a collaboration between three of them, Marlowe, Nash, and Shakespeare.
That would make sense because it does kind of feel like three plays in a way, like three different atmospheres, at least. That's
In
fascinating.
terms of the dear, dear, dear as well, there was a line, it didn't quite fit into what jumped out today in terms of like the importance of the conversation that was being had. But the line, she is a woman, therefore may be wooed, she's a woman, therefore may be won.
Yes.
It's straight out of Titus, which is also rife with deer imagery and also early career Shakespeare. So like, he's quoting himself already.
Yeah, there are so many tropes, aren't there? So many like riffs. Oh, this is that situation. Like Talbot gives a sub Henry V speech, doesn't he, to the mayor?
Yeah.
You know, it's you might have heard something like this before, but here it comes.
And he also
talked about the way he references things like Julius Caesar all the time. I just found all that fascinating. I mean, it happens more in parts 2 and 3 as well. He's always going back to stuff that he's already, he's written or he's about to write, but stories that they all know. All these bits of the web all over the place.
Absolutely. And for those of you on YouTube, let's give Colin a round of applause for doing this amazing cut. So thank you so much, Colin. And maybe awesome. in the absence of another YouTube question, is there anything that really, when you were doing the cut, that other than just those parallels, was there something that you discovered in that cutting process that people should know about?
Cutting always hurts. It always hurts. You're always losing something. You think, oh, yeah, but that is kind of useful. And then you go, okay, 90 minutes? No, it's gone. We can live without it. It's like, if you're basically self-amputating, you think, will I bleed to death if I take this scene out? No, nobody dies.
Bye, finger.
Amazing. Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you, company. Thank you, friends who are watching. We're going to pop on over to the company pub. What's a company pub, you ask? Well, the company pub is the place that you can go to hang out with all these crazy cats post-show if you are a Patreon member. How do I become a Patreon member, you ask? Well, you can go to patreon.com/Shakespeare Happy Hours. It's a way to support the artists that you see in front of you. All of those dollars will get distributed and help make life a little bit more possible for all of us. So if you would like to support us, we'd be exceedingly grateful for any dollars that you might want to send that way. And most exceedingly grateful for you to come hang out with us in the pub so we can spend some time together. So you can check us out, patreon.com/Shakespeare Happy Hours. You can also check us out, what day is today? Friday. On Monday, when we do Henry VI Part 2. So we'll either see you in a minute or we'll see you Monday. And have a good weekend if we don't see you in a minute. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.